Hello, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a tier list on some popular viral games. Don't really know if I need to explain what viral games were, but basically just games that have gotten popular on YouTube over the years and created massive trends and fan bases, and were basically cash cows for YouTubers for weeks, months, or even years. Um, I'm just doing this out of fun and maybe for some nostalgia, because some of these games are pretty old. I'm putting them into five tiers. A time to be alive, which means, like, these are mostly for games I think that have been going on for, like, as long as their life has been on. And games I felt like had the most impact. Great are games that, like, still had a huge impact, but, like, have had their ups and downs, kinda. Fun for a while was. I'm putting games, like, that were popular for a bit but kind of like started to fall off. Forgettable games that were popular for like a little bit and then everyone forgot about them. I don't think I really need to explain that too much. Bad popular games that are bad, lots of those exist and shouldn't have been made. I don't think I really need to explain what that is. I'm also going to go over a few rules. I'm going to be sorting this based on both quality of the game and popularity, or like the impact and how like well it's held up over the years. So there's some games that like I prefer over others, but they might be on a tier higher because I think they had a bigger impact and just like stuck with people more, maybe even me more, and that's the rating criteria, I'd say. Another thing as well is that I am not going to be doing mobile games, with a few exceptions, because there's too many of those, I would say. And tons of them just come around and die instantly. I'm not doing Roblox games, because that is a whole can of worms that would take way too long. And I am not choosing games that were part of a popular series and were expected to come out, like Warzone, GTA Online, or CSGO. I'd say all those are viral games, but these are just games that kind of just came out of nowhere and got super popular. So yeah, without further ado, I think that's all you need to know. Anyways, the first game is Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. Honestly, I remember when this game came out, and it was mainly Markiplier that played this one, and this is where all the rage clips came from. Probably seen those. Um, I remember playing this one, and I actually never finished it because, see, it did have a pretty funny memory. I remember towards the end, there's like this snake thing, and it says don't go down it, and I don't know why I chose to go down it because, man, those troll games get me, and it sent me all the way back to beginning, and then I never continued it after that. My own stupidity got to the best of me. But yeah, this game was popular for a bit, I remember, but didn't really have much of an impact, so I'm probably going to put in the fun for a while. It's like, not a bad game, pretty good game, but like, and it was fun for like a rage game, but I don't know, it just didn't really stick with me. Okay, so the next game is Lethal Company. Hmm. The thing about Lethal Company was that this is one of the more recent ones. Like, this game got popular, I think, around the end of 2023. And I remember playing this with my friends a good amount. Actually, not really for too long. The thing with Lethal Company, I always felt like, was that Lethal Company is a great game, or like a really fun game, and it's pretty good quality for being made by one person. But it got pretty old quick. Like, I remember, I think I have about like 8 hours of playtime on the game, and like, I remember playing with my friends. I was like, oh, we're just kind of just doing the same thing over and over again. And it's like, I've heard mods are great, but, and even then, like, even without just my own personal experience, I feel like this game kind of lost its popularity after like a month or two. It did outsell the new Marvel 3 for a while, which is insane. How a game made by one guy who's a furry outsold like $1 billion franchise for a bit. Maybe they should just stop making bad COD games. I don't know. Anyways, I'm also probably gonna put this one in fun for a while. Cuphead. Ooh, this is a game I never finished, but I got mostly through. Cuphead was like one of those games. This honestly, like, I'm not even kidding. Cuphead might be one of the hardest games I've ever played. And I've, like, played some pretty hard games. Like, I've even beaten Super Meat Boy before. But, like, Cuphead's just tough. I can't finish that one. I remember, I think the main people playing it were just, like, all the main Let's Players, like Jacksepticeye, Dan TDM, and Markiplier. And I actually didn't really watch a whole lot of like playthroughs or anything on YouTube because I played the game for myself. But the community was pretty good for a while. I noticed even with they made a kids Netflix show a couple years ago, and I remember hearing about that, and then I kind of just forgot it existed until right now. And then they had the DLC. I'd say this game is honestly one of the better games on this list, and it did have a pretty big impact, but I don't think it stuck around. Like, it doesn't have like the impact of some other games we'll get into. But yeah, I think Cuphead's a great game. Phasmophobia. Ooh, this is a good one. Phasmophobia, I feel like got popular at like a very weird time. Like, it got popular around the time I know Phasmophobia came out during COVID, I remember, and it got popular around the time that Among Us was out, which might not have honestly been the best timing, because at the time, Among Us was like the biggest thing in the world. But Phasmophobia is still pretty popular today, and I love Phasmophobia. I play with my friends a good amount still, and honestly, I think Phasmophobia is honestly one of the most like replayable games out of this whole list. It's fantastic when it comes to just good co-op ghost hunting. But yeah, I remember when this came out, I saw Markiplier, Bob, and Wade play it, and I was like, "What is this?" And it looked fun. Like, it looked so fun. It looked really janky, and it still is. But yeah, it's a great game. Although it definitely has started to. It's not as popular as it once was, but I'd still say it's decently popular, so I'm putting it in the great category. Undertale. Ooh, this one might be a controversial one. Honestly, I think when it comes to pure overall game quality, Undertale is one of the best games, not just on this list, but honestly one of the best indie games of all time. And I've seen multiple people say it's just one of the best games of all time in general, and can't really blame them. I'm actually in the middle of a replay of Undertale as I'm recording this, and I remember playing it the first time and not really understanding it a whole lot, and now I'm like loving it because I love RPGs. Like, I always will love a good RPG. Undertale, like, when it came out, was like the biggest thing, and I mean, it's still pretty popular. It's just it does like Cuphead. It's like it doesn't have the impact that some other franchises do. And I'm gonna put it in great because like with Undertale, it was hugely popular. It's just it didn't like reach like beyond like I don't know the word actually, just beyond like heights. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Okay, anyways, next one. Five Nights at Freddy's. So, when I'm referring to Five Nights at Freddy's, I'm mostly referring to Five Nights at Freddy's 1 through Ultimate Custom Night. Maybe the first Help Wanted. Anything after that, like, still popular, but these games were like, this is the first one in the tier for A Time to Be Alive, because like, honestly, I think as a game, FNAF isn't better than Cuphead, Undertale, or even Phasmophobia, but, like, it was one of the biggest, like, things in gaming at that time. Like, I was thinking about it the other day, but I was like, Could you imagine, like, the horror genre, like, not even just horror games, but the whole horror genre without Five Nights at Freddy's? Like, it's pretty hard to think about. It's crazy seeing, like, comparing, like, the first FNAF game to the most recent one, Secret of the Mimic. Which does bring up a point. I feel like the newer Five Nights at Freddy's games, most of them are good, with the exception of Security Breach. I really don't like that game. But, like, I don't know. I feel like when, like, FNAF 1 through Ultimate Custom Night came out, like, it was just different because they had such a low budget and it added so much to the appeal that, like, the newer games don't. And I remember when FNAF first came out, I was pretty young, and I started getting into it around like 2017 when I was still in elementary school. Probably a little too young to be into a series about child murder, but I wouldn't have had it either way. I have so much good memories of this series. I remember playing it with my cousins when I was younger. I remember, actually, I do have it, and I might show it later, but years ago now, it was during COVID. I remember drawing a FNAF character on like a piece of paper, and I heard Scott Cawthon, the creator, takes like fan mail, and and I sent it to him with like a little letter thanking him for Five Nights at Freddy's, because I was huge into Five Nights at Freddy's growing up. Like from 2017 to 2021 was like just the heyday. And I remember like a few weeks later, I remember getting a package back, and like I almost started just straight up crying. Like that was such a huge thing for me. And even now, like I've never had an experience like that. He's just such like an awesome guy. But yeah, this Five Nights at Freddy's, even if I'm not like too big of a fan of it anymore, I'm still like a casual fan. It's just I'm not like super into the lore anymore, and I've just found other game franchises I enjoy, but Five Nights at Freddy's I'll always hold pretty close to me. Baldi's Basics. Ooh. I honestly kind of forgot about Baldi's Basics until I made this video. If you've been in this around with this channel for a while, or if you're just one of my friends or something, you probably know that my most popular video on my channel is about Baldi's Basics. And I made it when I was pretty young. I remember it was this video where I made like these Lego figures based on Baldi's Basics, and I still don't understand how that video has so many views, more than any video on my channel, because like the video was pretty crappy too. I remember the comments got turned off. I'll probably re-enable them if I want, but there was this one channel that commented, and it was like one of those big like Lego channels that used to make those stop motion Lego videos. Some of those I used to watch a ton when I was younger. Those are some good like nostalgia trips. But sorry. But like it didn't last too long, I'd say. It was fun. It was fun when it was popular, that's for sure, but it didn't last a long time. But I still think it had like a decent impact. I'm going to put in fun for a while. This was one of the only like mascot horror games I think I've ever like really enjoyed outside of Five Nights at Freddy's, cuz like it was just so unique for the time. Like making a horror game based on like an edutainment game almost, and they did some creepy twist with it. Yeah, I think it's good in that tier. Ooh, the next one's good. Slender. Slender got, like, I'd say the peak popularity of Slender was like 2012 and 2013, because that's when the game came out, and I was pretty young, so I wasn't there to remember that. But I do remember in like 2016, I feel like a misconception that people had, because I didn't know this until the other day, the Slenderman stabbing. I don't think I need to explain that, but just in case if you don't know about it, you can Google it. Um, Made it Slenderman a pretty controversial character. And I think a misconception is that the Slenderman character fully just died off in popularity, but I remember being young in like 2016, in 2017, and it was still really popular, just not as popular as it was. And I think it was the movie that came out that fully killed it. I forgot that movie existed, but it looks awful. Um, the hard thing about this was that I wasn't really there for its peak popularity, so I was only there for part of it. So it's hard to rank though. I'd say fun for a while. Like, hmm, I'd say fun for a while. If it were talking about like the whole like character as a whole, maybe I'd put it up in great. But just for the game, or I guess the two games, since there's two official Slender games, 8 Pages and The Arrival. The Arrival I think is better, but this one's definitely the more popular one and the more well-known one. But yeah, I'd probably say fun for a while. The actual game itself, I feel like hasn't held up terribly well. Like I remember playing it a few years ago, and it was fun for the first like couple rounds of it. And once you just keep trying over and over, it's like it just gets super repetitive. And I'm not gonna hold that against it. Like it's an old game, and personally, I actually don't really find it like that scary of a game. Although the atmosphere of Slender the 8 Pages is one of the scariest I've ever seen in a game. We were just walking through that dark forest with that crappy little flashlight, and you just hear the loud booming noises, and you can't see anything. Ooh, it gives me shivers even thinking about. Slender the Arrival was pretty scary from what I remember, but yeah. I think fun for a while is a good tier for it. I might move it up to great though. In fact, if you were there during its heyday in 2012, I'm sure most people actually would put it in great, but hey, this is just my experience, so why not match with yours? I don't know. Minecraft. Well, we all know where that's going. Man, playing Minecraft Java Edition is great, but playing those old Legacy editions with my cousins back in the day was so fun. There are very few like games I have like that much nostalgia for. I noticed a few of the games I actually have so much nostalgia for are on this list, but Minecraft, like back in the Legacy edition, was so good. Actually, the funny thing is that I remember these two crossing over a lot. I notice with a lot of these games is that they kind of tend to cross over with communities a lot. Like, there's tons of like FNAF themed stuff on Garry's mod, which I'll get to later, and Minecraft and Roblox, which isn't on this list, but hey, still there. It's like all these communities bind together, and honestly, I don't think I really need to explain much more. I have countless memories with Minecraft. Alright, Among Us. I'm sure that. Hold on a sec, water break. Anyways, Among Us. Um, this was an interesting one. Because I remember during COVID, it was around the end of 2020, so like mid pandemic, Among Us got so popular, like it was almost inescapable, and like it was popular, I think, for around 6 months, and then it just kind of disappeared. Like nobody talks about Among Us nowadays. It's like with a few of these games, like even some of the more like even some of the more like older ones like Baldi's Basics and Slender, or like games that just aren't as popular as like these two, like are still talked about kind of. Like, hey, remember this? But Among Us, I feel like it's kind of just funny because it's like a relic of the past, and yet this is actually one of the newest games on the whole list. Oh wait, no, it wasn't. It came out in 2018, I remember, but it only got popular like 2 years later. I think a lot of the reason why people really hate Among Us is just because of the fact that it's like slop for kids on YouTube, and I will admit that stuff's really, good lord, that is just something I don't even want to talk about. But the game itself, like, was just a fun little game to play with your friends. And like during COVID, like it got popular at literally the perfect time. I feel like I'm gonna put it in great, but it didn't have the lasting impact that Minecraft and Five Nights at Freddy's have had. Like Minecraft's been around for like 16 years, or it's 14 if you are talking about the full release, and FNAF's been around for almost 11. And these games, I don't think I've really had any drought in like popularity. I mean, I guess there's been points, but they're still super popular. Among Us, I feel like was like the biggest thing in the world when it was around for like 6 months, and then now nobody just talks about it. Doki Doki Literature Club. Oh, good lord. Honestly, I don't enjoy this game very much. I remember I watched Markiplier play it not like a couple years after it came out. Because if I had watched that when I was younger, that would have freaked me out. But yeah, I remember when Doki Doki Literature Club got popular, and it was just such a weird game. Like, I will admit, the concept for it is actually really good. Like, hiding a psychological horror game behind a gooner game, basically, is actually a really good idea. It's just the game to me, like, if you know what happens and like the twists and all of the parts, it is so boring. But if you watch people play it, I feel like it's so much better. And just because I'm not a fan of it, like, I know tons of people like it. Some weirdos. Anyways, I don't know what to do because I don't. I don't think it's like a terrible game. It's just I don't really like it, but I'm not gonna put it in bad, and definitely not forgettable. I'm gonna put it in fun for a while. It was kind of cool piecing together the lore for some people. Fortnite, oh my gosh. Probably the most controversial game on this whole list, surprisingly, is Fortnite. Now, keep in mind, when I'm talking about Fortnite, I'm not talking about like the Fortnite we've had from like 2021 to now, where it's just like crossovers everywhere and they're adding in all these stuff, like taking other mechanics from like different battle royales, like sliding and rebooting cards and all that. I'm just talking about Fortnite when it originally came out, like Fortnite from 2017 to 2019 or 2020, I don't know. Fortnite when it came out was like it was literally inescapable. Like Among Us was huge and almost inescapable, but Fortnite literally was inescapable. It's like you couldn't go anywhere without anybody talking about it. And I remember when it came out, and I actually wasn't really like that big of a fan of it. I remember. Even now, I don't care about Fortnite all that much. Like I think Fortnite, like I don't play Fortnite like hardly ever. Like I think Fortnite's fun. It's just it's not really the kind of game that I'd play like a ton. However, when Fortnite was popular, like that popularity of a game I haven't seen most other places. I'm sure some of the older people who might be watching have, like when COD was in its heyday from like 2007 to 2012. God, I wish I lived through those days, considering how it is now. But Fortnite, when it came out, honestly, I'm putting it at the top tier. Even though Fortnite, I find it fun sometimes, it's just not the kind of game I'd play. But I can't take that just for my own opinion. Like, I remember playing it with my cousins, and they loved it, and I loved having fun with them. It's kind of the thing I miss, just because of how, like, popular it was, and Fortnite now is so different compared to how it was back when it launched. Like, the only crossover they did was the one with Infinity War, where they added Thanos for a bit, and now it's like every other character is like Darth Vader or the Predator or Goku or something. It's honestly, people might be pissed at me for putting it at the top tier, calling me a Fortnite Zoom or something, but look, even I don't enjoy Fortnite that much, and I still miss the days of when it was like so popular and just like that. I will die on that hill saying that. PUBG. I don't like PUBG at all. The thing with PUBG, I don't really like. I remember hearing about it a good amount when it was popular. It was popular for, I think, a bit, and then Fortnite came out, and when Fortnite came out, I feel like everyone just stopped playing PUBG. It's like, hmm. But I played PUBG like a few years after it like got popular, and honestly, I hated it. I thought it was terrible. I was like, there's no way it was always like this, because it used to be really popular. And I mean, I don't understand how it gets so many players now, because like, it always tops the Steam charts, and like, I feel like I hear like nothing about it. I do know it's pretty popular in other countries though. Honestly, I'm putting this one. I don't know if it was forgettable, but I'm just gonna put in bad. That's the first like bad ranking of this video so far, I'd say. Alright, the next one I have is Granny. This is a game I also kind of forgot about. Granny was like such a weird game when it came out. And this is the one of the two exceptions for mobile games. Granny was like, it just came out of nowhere, I remember. Like, I remember all of my classmates in like elementary school were talking about it, and I was like, what is this? And like, I remember thinking it looked terrible, and I remember playing it, and I was like, hey, this is actually pretty fun. And I remember playing it so much, and then they had Granny Chapter 2, which came out like a year after its popularity ended, or maybe it was around the time, I don't even remember. I thought that one was fine, I remember. And then, actually, I didn't even know this until like, maybe like a little less than a year ago, but they made a Granny 3, and like, nobody played it, I don't think. And I was like, it was so past its prime, I feel like, that like, everyone just forgot about it. I still thought it lasted like a good like year and a half maybe though, I'd say, because it came out in like 2018 or something. Sounds about right. And hmm, I don't know. I don't want to put in forgettable. I think I'm gonna put it in fun for a while, because I remember like Markiplier played it. I remember watching that with my cousins when I was younger, and then Dan TDM played it lots, and somebody else really popular played it. I mean, tons of popular people played it, but there's one specific guy. I don't remember who it was. Actually, the funny thing I feel about Granny is that I feel like it's less popular now because of like Roblox knockoffs like Piggy. Like, that game is literally just Granny on Roblox, and yet that game was so much more popular than Granny ever was, which is weird. Happy Wheels. Oh, by the way, this third tier fun for a while, I feel like this is probably where most of the games are gonna go, if I'm being honest. It just seems like it makes the most sense. Anyways, Happy Wheels. This one I wasn't really around for. Like, I remember hearing this game got popular around like 2013 or 2014 because it's a Flash game, and that was during like the heyday of Flash games, was like the 2000s and early 2010s. Happy Wheels I remember watching a decent amount when I was younger. Only like not like too much though. I mean, it's like a decently fun game as well. It was like really popular for its time, but I feel like now not a lot of people like remember it too much. I don't know, cuz this one's hard to rank cuz it's kind of like Slender where it's like I wasn't really around for its popularity. But the difference was that with Slender I was around for it like towards the end of its popularity, but with Happy Wheels I feel like I was kind of like past its prime. So this one's kind of hard to rank. I don't want to say forgettable. I'm probably going to put it in fun for a while. Garry's mod. Honestly, this might be out. This is a tie with Minecraft for probably my favorite game out of this whole list. Garry's mod is also probably the oldest game on this list, coming out in 2005 or 2006 about. Made as a mod for Half-Life 2, where you could just mess around and do whatever you want. And this is the fourth and maybe final one for the top tier. Garry's mod, I feel like out of these four, Garry's mod has the smallest community. But Garry's mod's community is so just dedicated. And it's one of my most played games of all time. Like, I've played tons of Garry's mod. Like, if you just want to... I would honestly argue it's just as good of a sandbox as Minecraft, if not even better. Because you could just do anything you want. The community content has, like, driven this game for years. I've noticed... Earlier I said, like, some of these games cross over with each other, like Five Nights at Freddy's content being in Minecraft and Garry's mod. Garry's mod, I always felt like, has held trends within it. Like, whenever there's a trendy game that comes out, like Among Us, FNAF, Minecraft, or I don't know, one of these other games, there's always content for it on Garry's mod. And I feel like that's common with Source games too. Like, with Left 4 Dead, there's like a ton of mods based around different, like, popular trends and stuff. And with like a game like Team Fortress 2, it's like the amount of like Minecraft trade maps on Team Fortress 2 is freaking staggering. But Garry's mod, I feel like, just has them all. And even now, literally almost 20 years later, Garry's mod is still so popular. I remember playing Garry's mod for the first time during COVID, and that's when I started getting into Valve games. And but before that, I remember watching tons of Garry's mod videos when I was younger, just of people screwing around and playing prop hunt and stuff. Oh yeah, and also that's true as well. The multiplayer scene for Garry's mod is staggering. Like, there's just so much, like, game modes and stuff. You got prop hunt, trouble in terrorist town, dark RP, and like those are like the big three, but there's so many more. Yeah, Garry's mod has lived on for so long, and I feel like it will continue to live on forever. I think all four of these games are just games that are, like, literally never going to die. They will always be at the top of their game, which is what this tier is made for. But, like, since it's called A Time to Be Alive, this was like, oh, you had to have been there during its popularity, like, during its heyday. But they still hold up, just forever. Goat Simulator. I remember playing this game a lot with my cousins, like split screen on the PlayStation 4 when I was younger. And this is one of the, like, weirdest games I've ever played. Some of these games are just weird, but this, along with another one, might be one of the weirdest games I've ever played. It's funny, but, like, it's just weird. This game went viral, I think, around the same time that Five Nights at Freddy's came out, so like 2014 through like 2018. I don't know. And I feel like this game kind of gets old really fast for some people, but I remember playing it a ton when I was younger, and I was like... The thing is, though, is that, like, that's just my personal memory of it, but I'm talking about, like, the main, like, public view of it. I feel like this game was, like, popular for a good while, or just for a bit, and then, like, just moved on to the next thing. This game has a ton of DLCs, though. Like, there's one where they did a crossover with Payday 2, which is one of my most played games of all time as well. And they added so much content for this game, but honestly, I hate to put it, I think I'm gonna put in forgettable. The people who played this game when they were younger probably haven't forgotten about it, but I feel like the general mainstream has, if that makes sense. Stanley Parable. This one I was debating on putting. This is the second Source Engine game on this list. I'm putting it in great. The Stanley Parable is honestly one of my favorite games of all time. I love the Stanley Parable. It is just like, if you ever play the Stanley Parable, you have to play a blind, like knowing absolutely nothing. That is the correct way to play the Stanley Parable. And it's like, I don't even really want to say anything about it just because I feel like they kind of ruined the point. But Stanley Parable is such a great game. And it's one of the, like, another thing about it too is that its replayability is such like a high strength if you want to like make YouTube content about it. And this game also came out when I was younger, so I wasn't really super like, I wasn't really there for it during like its heyday, but even years later, like, you still see some. This was one of those games where like I only started watching playthroughs once I'd already played through the game myself during COVID, so I kind of missed out on the hype. And then the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe came out about 10 years, almost 10 years after Stanley Parable came out. They made the Ultra Deluxe edition. That was pretty popular on YouTube for a bit. Yeah, honestly, I love the Stanley Parable as a game, but like it wasn't like super viral like a game like Minecraft, Fortnite, FNAF, or even Among Us is. So I'm gonna put it in great. I don't want to put it in fun for a while, but because I feel like the Stanley Parable has definitely had like a bigger impact. But yeah, I think that's a good spot. Actually, you know what? Might move Slender up. I'm not fully sure. I'll decide that at the end. Hello Neighbor. Ah, this one sucks. This one's sad. The thing that's so bad about Hello Neighbor is that it had such an amazing idea, making a horror game, sneaking into your neighbor's house to discover like what he was hiding. Like, when the first two alphas came out, this game was so popular. Like, tons of like YouTubers played it, and then Alpha 3 came out and people were like, okay, this isn't really working. And then Alpha 4 came out and they were like, okay, they need to fix this. Otherwise, this might not end up being good. And then the full game came out and, yeah, we all know how that went. One of the buggiest games of all time, potentially. Hello Neighbor, like, started out good and then ended so horribly. And that's not even to mention that they've been milking this series dry for years. Like, to the point where it's like, it's hilarious. Like, they started making tons of spin-off games. They had Secret Neighbor, which, that one was pretty fun, I remember. But, like, the other ones, like, nobody played. And then they made the TV show that they begged MatPat to analyze when MatPat was still, you know, the host of Game Theory. Yeah, honestly, like, the only good thing about Hello Neighbor was the first two alphas, and that was it. Like, Hello Neighbor is such a terrible franchise. I'm putting it in bad. Oh, bad. Just bad. Like, PUBG had its time to shine, even though it's not that great of a game. Hello Neighbor is just bad. Like, it's just not good. It really sucks what happened with Hello Neighbor, but I guess it's like almost like a... Wow, it's late. I guess it's just a, it's kind of like a lesson to indie developers, I guess. Helldivers 2. This was a game that, like, I really debated on, including on this list, because it's like, this game is probably the most high-quality game out of this whole list, but it's almost kind of like AAA, even though it's not, and by the very definition, it literally is a viral game, like, just a game that just randomly came out and just blew up overnight. And this is the only game on the list that's like an actual sequel, because they had a Helldivers came out. I don't know a whole lot about the first Helldivers, but it wasn't very popular, and then they made Helldivers 2, and they just nailed it. and it, like, I don't know, Helldivers is freaking incredible. Like, I think it's, I'd say out of all the multiplayer games on this list, I think Helldivers 2 is the best one. If you don't count Minecraft and Garry's mod, I think Helldivers 2 is the best one. It lasted for a good while, and then there was some controversy with the PlayStation Network because this game's published by PlayStation. I'd still count it as like more like a double A game almost, but it's not as popular as it was like last year when it first came out. But it's still got like a super dedicated player base. You know what? I'm gonna put in great. I was gonna put in fun for a while, but I don't think it deserves that. Geometry Dash. Geometry Dash is such a weird game. Like, I don't even know why. Like, I used to play this game all the time when I was young, and my cousins loved it too. I know I keep bringing that up with a lot of these games, but definitely hold special value with all of them, or with most of these games, to some degree. But yeah, Geometry Dash was such a huge like time killer. Like, man, and it didn't get updated for years until like 2 years ago, where they made this huge big update. And even in that time, like, they didn't have it update for so long, and it was still like one of the most popular mobile games. I feel like most of the time people see Geometry Dash now from like TikTok clips and stuff. It's like, this is the kind of game that wasn't really like huge, like tons and tons of content on YouTube, but like there's still like enough to make it a viral game. It's like everybody knows about it and has probably played it. I'm gonna put in fun for a while. I used to play Geometry Dash so much when I was younger, but I just feel like I can't put it in great with all these games. I'd say Geometry Dash is probably like the most simple game on this whole list. Fears to Fathom. This is actually a series I really enjoy. I'd say this is probably this is one of the more recent ones, but Fears to Fathom is like such a weird series too. It's one of the only like really popular indie horror games I've seen in the last few years that isn't like a mascot horror game that's like a knockoff of FNAF or Poppy Playtime. Oh man, I just realized I forgot to add one game. Hold on a sec. Alright, there we go. I'm back. Anyways, back to talking about Fears to Fathom. Like, Fears to Fathom is honestly one of the scariest games to me, because it just capitalizes on that fear so much. And all 5 of the episodes are really well made. And the one that really got me the most was Ironbark Lookout with the Watchtower. That one, like, capitalized on literally one of my biggest fears, is getting lost in the woods and finding some crazy people. I won't spoil it, but yeah. Fears to Fathom, in my opinion, might be the scariest game on this whole list, but these are some of the most high-quality indie horror games I've seen in the last few years. I'm putting them in great. There's not a single bad one. ClusterTruck. A lot of you might never have even heard of this game, but you've probably seen it. That's the thing. One of the things I feel like makes this game viral is that I feel like from 2016 to 2021, every commentary channel would have this game on the background. Like, you know, they have like games in the background while they talk about friggin' YouTube drama or whatever. Like, this would always be the game. It'd either be that, Minecraft, or like COD or something. ClusterTruck is like, it's a pretty fun like time killer, but like, it's not much more than that. Like, you can't really say anything about it. And I remember I think Dan TDM played it, and Markiplier might have too. I don't know, same guys. I'm gonna put in Forgettable, just because, like, kind of just grabbed his attention for a little bit, and then just you only, like, most people don't even know the name of this game. They just see it in commentary videos and they're like, oh, that looks fun. That's how I found it. Only up. Mm, this is the first game I'm putting at bottom tier. I hated this game when it came out because it just looked like a dumb like knockoff for Getting Over It, but like made for like Twitch streamers or like modern day Twitch streamers, and I always hate that culture. But it just, not only that too. I heard this game got taken down because the for something, I don't even remember what, but this game was had like some parts of it that were like literally made with like AI from what I remember. And it's like this game was just made as like a little cheap cash grab in my opinion. It's like the Gen Alpha version of Getting Over It. It just sucks. I think this is like one of the worst games on this list. Bending the Ink Machine. This one's hard for me because I remember when Bending the Ink Machine came out, or like the first two chapters came out, and the concept for it, like setting it in like an abandoned studio, was so unique at the time. It was just crazy. And honestly, like, I feel like once the full game of Bending the Ink Machine came out, it just lost popularity because I played it a couple years ago again. I first played it like 6 years ago. Before that, I just watched it on YouTube. I played the game for myself 6 years ago, and I liked it. I remember because I was younger. And then, like, I replayed it on my computer a few years ago. I was like, oh, it's still like just decent, I'd say. And honestly, there's not really a whole lot to say about it for me. It's like it was a game that was popular for a year and then kind of fell off. And then they were making Bendy in the Dark Revival, and that was pretty popular for a few weeks. And then it was never as popular as Bendy the Ink Machine was though. I heard Dark Revival was really good. I remember buying it a few years ago for like $3 or $4, and I still haven't played it. Maybe I will someday. It looked pretty good. It looked like kind of like Bendy, but with like the gameplay of like Bioshock. And I do really love Bioshock. Anyways, I'm just ranking it like not counting Dark Revival. I'm just counting Bending the Ink Machine. Oh, this one's hard because Bending the Ink Machine, in my opinion, is the only genuinely like good mascot horror franchise outside of Five Nights at Freddy's. I prefer Five Nights at Freddy's over Bending the Machine literally any day. Like I'm not like really a huge fan, but like I still think it's a good game. Hmm. This one's so hard for me. I feel like it's still kind of had an impact, so I'm gonna put it in great. Oh, and by the way, I'm not putting this in order. Like I'm not saying Cuphead is more than like Undertale or Stanley Parable or Among Us or something. These are just kind of random. I could sort it like that way by the end. Who knows? Friday Night Funkin'. I freaking hated this game when it came out too. Like it was so annoying. I remember, or I always thought it was super annoying. Like the gameplay, like it, it kind of reminded me of like one of those old rhythm games, but it was just so obnoxious, and the community was awful. I never liked this game. Like I never really got the appeal of it. Wouldn't put it in shouldn't have been made, but I'd just put it in bad. Like I know there's some people who really love this game, but I just don't like it. I thought it was so annoying. Rocket League. Rocket League's amazing. I remember when Rocket League was really popular back like in the day, and then Epic Games bought it, and it started to get worse. That was the same with another game that we'll get on to later. Started to get worse, but Rocket League still has a pretty good player base. And honestly, Rocket League's freaking hard. Like, I was never good at Rocket League, but it was fun though. I'm gonna put in great because it has such a huge player base. What else? Poppy Playtime. Poppy Playtime. The thing with Poppy Playtime is that from the get go, it was literally like a soulless cash grab made by like people who make like those weird like Minecraft videos on YouTube. Those like Minecraft FNAF videos. And from the get go, that's all it was. And people hated Poppy Playtime. But now I see it so much more. And it's mostly widely liked, I'd say. Mostly by children, yes. But like just by the general public. Um, yeah, Poppy Playtime's a weird one. I only played the first chapter, but I remember watching playthroughs for chapter 2 and chapter 3. I didn't even know chapter 4 came out until like a good while ago. I haven't seen that, so I'm just gonna be ranking it based on chapter 1 to 3. Just the game itself is fine. It's just the bad intent behind it and like just all the slop from this game's community is just, to me, it puts it in bad. And also just the developers being terrible, like with the NFTs and stuff. Yeah. Surgeon Simulator. This game also got popular when I was pretty young, but this game's freaking weird. Like, much like Goat Simulator as well, this game is just weird. Um, I played this one too, and I thought it was fine. It's just it was kind of annoying to play. That was the whole point, because you're operating a guy with one hand, and you're trying to control the hand, and it's so hard to control. Like you're just doing that. They had some pretty interesting levels too. Like they just had the basic surgery ones, and then they had a level where you played as the medic from Team Fortress 2 doing surgery on the heavy, like he did in the Meet the Medic video. That was cool. I liked that part. Then they had one with an alien, and then they had one where you did surgery on Trump, and it came out during like the first, like the 2016 election. I have no idea how they got away with that. I'm gonna put this one forgettable. Like, it's decent fun for a bit. But, like, it didn't even last for like a while. I'd say like these games did. This one, VRChat. This one barely made the list to me because I was like, oh, it's kind of just like a platform. Sorry, because it's just like kind of like a platform, but I'd still consider it a viral game. I noticed it got popular during like 2018 with that dumb like Ugandan Knuckles meme, and everyone on VRChat was like dressing up as that. I've tried VRChat a couple times, and man, I hate VRChat. Like, I do not understand, or I understand the appeal, like getting social in VR. Like, it's a cool concept, especially if it was during COVID, but man, anyone who's played VRChat knows this. It exposes literally the worst of every single group ever. Like, freaking, like, pedophiles run rampant. Like, I'm just gonna say, like, there's so many stories of, like, just child grooming on VRChat. It's insane. Like, I think like, I would never let my kids touch VRChat. It's that bad. Like, I think I'd be more comfortable with them going to, like, the GTA strip club or something than friggin' playing most of the games on VRChat. Yeah, no. If there's like another tier for like freaking just straight up illegal, I'd put it in here. VRChat is just a place that if if you have a if you do not have a strong stomach, do not go on VRChat. It is just, it's bad. I wish it never existed. Tattletail. This was a game I forgot about until literally I just today. Tattletail was popular for like a month, and then nobody remembered it. Nobody remembered it at all. Like, even with the games that were really popular for a month, like Lethal Company, like, people still play it. Tattletail, literally nobody remembers. And it got popular in like 2017, maybe. This one's just going unforgettable. I'm gonna just say it. The thing about Tattletail, though, is that if it came out now, during like the big boom of mascot horror games, I'm sure it would have lasted a while because this game came out in like 2017 or 2016, and the only mascot horror games out at the time were FNAF and Bendy, and that was it. If they had waited till like Poppy Playtime came out, I feel like Tattletail would have been really successful. Man, the dude who made that game must be just kind of feel bad for him. Fall Guys. This is the last game. Fall Guys is such a fun game, or was a fun game, and then Epic Games bought it and ruined it. Fall Guys is so weird because I remember it came out. I'm not gonna put it in that tier list. I'm just gonna leave it there for now, but I'll put it up higher. Fall Guys, like, it got popular during COVID, and all the YouTubers were playing it, and it looks so fun. And then it hit PlayStation Plus, and then everybody started playing it because it's like, oh, if you own PlayStation Plus, you could just get this game for free. Because at the time, you had to pay for it. And I remember playing that a ton, and I never won. Like, for a game that's targeted at, like, kids, this game's freaking hard. At least to me, it is. Like, I've won, like, I used to play this a ton, but I didn't win a whole lot. But yeah, Fall Guys was pretty fun, and then Among Us got popular, and Among Us just killed it for a bit. I feel like Fall Guys still has like a decent player base, but man, Among Us screwed this game over so bad. But Fall Guys is a fun game. I'm gonna put it in fun for a while, I'd say. I think that's a fair category. Well, that's the whole list. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's very late right now and I'm very tired, but I'm glad I did this. It was just like some just good fun. There'll probably be some things I edit out. Sorry for the glare from my light if that was an issue. And I think this is the first time you guys have seen my face in like 4 years. So, hey. Still planning to make some more videos. I'm currently working on my video about GTA 4. That one I'm excited to finish. And I'm going to do a video about Payday 2. And I don't know what's after that. I just did this for fun and just to go for some nostalgia. And if you made it all the way through, thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed it, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Sorry this wasn't like a huge like quality video. It was just kind of just for fun. Anyways, I think that's all I got for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.